Alrighty, hello. The reason for this video is to show, or what I'm going to discuss is to show how I have been growing my LinkedIn connections and been having more contextual, better conversations via DM on LinkedIn. Now, I've only been running this strategy for maybe a few weeks to a month now, but what I can tell you is, well, first thing you're going to do is click on your profile. Okay, so you want to get there. Whoops. Okay, so you can see this is my profile homepage, right? And so what we're looking at here is the 500 plus connections. Just as an example, this number, my number of followers here was at 16, I believe it was 1648 as of this morning. I rattled off a bunch of connection requests doing exactly what I'm going to show here, and it jumped to 1705. Passively, my goal is to make this really big, but that's not the focus of this. Ultimately, 500 plus connections on LinkedIn. If you have 499 or less connections, it'll show the actual number. If you have 500 or more connections, it just says 500 plus. So whether you have 100,000 connections or you have 501 connections does not matter, because it's going to show 500 plus. Why does this matter? Well, I think from a professional standpoint, if we are being looked at on LinkedIn, I know that when I look at somebody's LinkedIn profile, maybe they've got 30 connections on there. Not a bad deal, and it doesn't say anything about them personally necessarily, but it's just they're obviously not very active on here, and the likelihood of getting any engagement with them on here is fairly low. Now, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't approach that person, especially if it's somebody, a decision maker that you're trying to get a hold of, and just you haven't been able to get a hold of them via phone or email or stopping by the physical location. Obviously, this is another avenue, and who knows, you might be able to connect that way, because there are some HR professionals that just they are on here more often than you'll notice, or what they'll readily admit, and they aren't necessarily worried about adding connections and followers and all that sort of stuff. So if they have 35 followers, it's not a deal breaker in any sort of way. Okay, so to the actual method here. So click on your connections. Okay, so what you see here, this is everybody that I am currently connected with, okay? Now, what we want to do is go up to this section here, search with filters, okay? So that's what you're going to look for there. Search with filters, click on that, and this is where you're going to define your filters, okay? So then you're going to go up here and you have a whole row of different stuff that you can pick. We're going to start here. So first, what this means, and so what we're looking at, these are all people that I have a first connection with, right? And so, my screen gets fuzzy there because my hand, so I'll try not to do that too much more. What you'll want to do is click on second connections and remove that, because and so what you're going to be looking at, and we'll go ahead and hit show results, is these are connections of my connections. I am not directly connected to them, but Gwen Gierke knows somebody that I am connected with. Okay, so this right here, just this alone, will give you a list that you could certainly approach that way too. But I like to, the idea behind this is to be able to have an approach, a cold approach essentially, that is at least somewhat warm. And so what you'll do is go up to filters, okay? Okay, and then over here, this little side thing is gonna pop out. Now, there's several different things you can do. You can connections of. What I am focusing on right now is add a creator. Or another thing that I have looked up is via Navy. So anybody in the Navy, right? As a Navy veteran myself, obviously that's an easy connection for us to make, and people are typically going to be open to talking with me. But just as an example, one that I am really focusing on right now is a guy named Alex Hormozi. So you click on that. So that's the creator so anybody that likes Alex, okay, is gonna pop up in this filtered list. Now, that could be throughout the United States. We don't wanna do that. We wanna get a little more targeted, right? So the great thing is go ahead and click, I'll go ahead and click all these, anything with Minnesota. And then you can even, dial it down even further, but I don't wanna dial my list down too far. So go ahead and click results. Okay, so anybody on this list, number one, okay, is that they are a connection of mine. So we're just one step away from technically digitally knowing each other, right? And then secondly, these folks have somewhere in their profile, and it may not show up on here, but they have chosen to follow Alex Hormozi, the creator that I put in there. So that means that they follow him. If they follow him, they probably like him, right? So then what I'll do is an example. So I'll just go through, you can see already I have some other pending connections. Also, just real quick to give you an idea, when I started doing this, you can see there's 30 pages. So I have 30 pages of local Minnesota connections that have a shared interest with me. And actually, when I started this, it was 40 pages. I've knocked it down to 10. That's how I've grown my connections that way. But let's just take a look here. So Clement Mary, okay, so I didn't reach out to him because he's a CEO president of a staffing company that I don't. Certainly, it doesn't mean that I shouldn't or wouldn't, but that's not my focus, right? I'm not trying to build connections with other, owners of other staffing companies. Let's take a look here. Brandon Gentry, let's look at the bottom. Let's do something special today. I can see that he's also friends with Mike Kading, which is one of our biggest clients here, so I could say something about that. But what I'll do here, and I make this really simple, is I'll go ahead and hit connect. Now, here's the key thing, add a note. So the good thing is that with second connections, or number 2 basically, the second connection level there is that you can send a message. Now what I do is I have a template. I'm not going to show all my templates here, but a template that I've been using. Okay, and so I just copy and paste that template in there, and then I change the name. So I'm going to change it to Brandon because that's who I'm sending it to. The last one that I'd sent it to was a guy named Eric. So all I got to do is swap out the name. Okay. And I'm going to go back and actually make sure that that's good and capitalized and everything. But as you can see, hi, Brandon. I see you're a fan of Alex Hormozi and in Minnesota. I am as well. If you'd like to connect, great. If not, no worries. Have a great day. And I just keep it super, super simple. And then I use that exact template. I'm adjusting the template a little bit to see, kind of doing a little bit of split testing on 2 different templates to see which one is going to getting me the more response. This one right now has been more successful. But yeah, so that's just a quick breakdown. Suggestion there. So go ahead and click that. So we're all good there. So I'll go ahead and hit send, and then I just go through. All right. And I'll just continue to go through and do that. So so it's a great way to create, to grow your LinkedIn connection network, and doing it in a way that is more contextual, it's more personalized. It is a form of cold outreach that does not feel cold though, because you're in Minnesota, or if it's Wisconsin, western Wisconsin, or that, and then on top of that, a shared interest in business, which is in this case Alex Hormozi, or like I said, I'm also doing this with Navy connections in the state of Minnesota. Just wanted to share this real quick. I'll also share the little write-up along with it. Hope you found value in it. If you did, let me know. If not, don't let me know. Anyway, hope you have a good day.